We are officially entering year 3 of Coddle Me. Year 3 of picking and choosing when I want to address the reporters, when I want to address the media, when I want to address the journalists. Year 3 of, if I play good, oh yeah, I'm the first one to the podium. Nobody can beat me to the podium. Year 3 of, if I have a bad game, ooh, go on, cover for me, please, please, please. Go out there and take the questions. Take the hard-hitting questions, because I don't want to address them.
Year 3. That's how long Angel Reese has been running this playbook. Good game? First one to the podium, camera ready, quote machine activated. Bad game? Suddenly she's got somewhere else to be, and her teammates are left holding the bag, answering the hard questions she won't touch. And now she's made it official. She'd rather pay fines than face reporters in Atlanta. The question isn't whether she has the right to do this. The question is, what kind of leader does that make her?
Aaron Judge, 0 for 5, 4 for 5. 3 home runs, 3 strikeouts. Doesn't matter. He's going to talk to the media. Max Fried, Garrett Cole. 10 strikeouts, 10 runs allowed. 10 walks, a no-hitter. He's going to come out and speak to the media. Jalen Hurts, good game, bad game. No points in the second half, points in the first half. 1 completion, 20 completions. He's going to come out and speak to the media.
Think about that for a second. Aaron Judge goes 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts in a playoff game? He's at that podium. Garrett Cole gives up 10 runs? He's answering questions. Jalen Hurts throws 3 interceptions? He's facing the media. Even Caitlin Clark, after getting physically targeted all season, after every controversial moment, after every bad shooting night, she showed up. Every single time. But Angel Reese, she's picking and choosing based on how she performed. That's not leadership. That's selective accountability.
Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling. Angel Reese, willing to accept fines for not speaking to the media. Now, this is a policy that started in 2024. We're going to talk about it. Moved into 2025, and now we're heading into 2026. Other than the obvious issue of picking, you are now in a different city. You are in a different situation. That local media shouldn't be punished for what you think the Chicago media did to you.
Here's what makes this particularly frustrating for Atlanta. She's in a completely different city now. New team, new market, new media covering her career. Whatever beef she had with Chicago reporters, whatever animosity built up during her 2 years with the Sky, those Atlanta journalists had nothing to do with it. They're starting fresh, ready to cover her fairly, and she's already telling them she'd rather pay fines than talk to them. She's punishing people who haven't done anything to her yet.
I understand that you're going to tell us in this article below that things get twisted, right? Things get twisted, things get taken out of context. So you're saying, I'd just rather not talk about it. Well, that's for the outside noise. But if the people that are actually reporting on you, these new local journalists in Atlanta, if they're not twisting your words and putting it out of context, then you should continue to speak to them, because as the outside, well, there's always the possibility of that your words get twisted. As long as the people that you're talking to directly don't twist your words, well, the outside world can interpret it any way they want to interpret it.
And let's talk about that Chicago Tribune interview that got her suspended. She threw her teammates under the bus, criticized the roster construction publicly, created a massive distraction for the organization. When the media reported exactly what she said, she claimed her words were twisted and taken out of context. But here's the thing, if your words keep getting twisted, maybe the problem isn't the reporters. Maybe the problem is what you're actually saying. And instead of learning to communicate more carefully, she's decided the solution is to just stop communicating altogether.
Her throwing her teammates under the bus in Chicago, she took that as people misconstruing her words and taking it out of context. The two-time All-Star is determined not to repeat her past mistakes in Atlanta, even if it means fines from the league office. She recently appeared on former First Lady Michelle Obama IMO podcast earlier this week and admitted she'd rather deal with fines than a contentious relationship with the media. The media has not always been great for me, and I'll take a fine. I'll catch a fine, especially in the WNBA. I'll have a fine before I have to go to media and feel like my back is against the wall, Reese told an approving.
She went on Michelle Obama's podcast and got nothing but validation for this approach. Craig Robinson, Obama's brother, literally compared sports media to reality TV and applauded Angel for how she's handled it. No pushback, no challenging questions, just a safe space where she can complain about accountability without anyone pointing out the obvious contradictions, and that's exactly what she wants. Platforms where she controls the narrative completely, where nobody asks uncomfortable questions, where she can present her version of events without any scrutiny.
Not kind of sidestep the issue and half address it, but not really address it and sidestep it on your own platform, because those questions are now still out there. Questions that haven't been answered. You'd rather avoid the questions, avoid the topic, and kind of duck accountability for what you said, when you could have just showed up to the exit interview and responded to the question. Former college basketball player Craig Robinson, Obama's brother and the co-host of the podcast, likened sports media to reality TV and applauded Reese for how she has navigated it. I mean, the WNBA.
Notice who she says she's excited to talk to. Attila Rokes, who she calls her best friend, not a journalist, a friend. She wants the appearance of media availability without the actual substance of it. She wants softball questions from people who won't challenge her, who won't follow up when her answers don't make sense, who won't ask about the elephants in the room. That's not doing media. That's doing public relations on your own terms.
Angel and extended the sentiment to Obama and Robinson. People that don't push back, people that won't push back, people that refuse to push back. I don't think anybody will ever understand what I've been through. I appreciate you guys for making this a safe space for me because, as you said, the media has not always been great. She wants a safe space. She wants a bubble. No pushback. I don't think you've ever understand what I've been through. What have you really been through? I mean, what have you really been through other than bringing the eyeballs on you, you doing that to yourself, you purposely bringing the eyeballs on you, you purposely asking for the eyeballs, you purposely taunting, you purposely saying they're here to watch me too,
And then she says this, I don't think anybody will ever understand what I've been through. What exactly has she been through that isn't self-inflicted? She purposely taunted opponents. She purposely said fans were there to watch her too, creating that whole rivalry dynamic. She purposely threw her teammates under the bus in Chicago. She perpetuated narratives about racial targeting that video evidence contradicted. She claimed fans harassed her and Kennedy Carter at their bus when that incident was never verified. Every controversy that's followed her, she either created it or amplified it herself.
Kennedy Carter, when that never really happened, I'm having trouble to actually figure out what you've been through. The WNBA changed its media policy this week to limit the amount of time star players must meet with reporters. For example, the Chicago Sky have informed reporters this week that rookie Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso will no longer be made available after shoot-around, which is typically the best time for in-depth.
Here's what really happened in 2024. The WNBA changed its entire media policy because players, led by Angel Reese, claimed they felt overwhelmed and attacked by reporters. The Chicago Sky informed media that Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso would no longer be available after shoot-arounds, which had been the best time for in-depth interviews. The reason? Players felt pestered by questions about hot-button issues like Kennedy Carter's flagrant foul. Questions that needed to be asked, elephants in the room that needed to be addressed. So let's be clear about what we're really talking about here. This isn't about protecting mental health. This isn't about media being unfair. This is about a player who wants all the attention and all the spotlight when things are going well, but wants to hide when things get tough. She wants to be treated like a superstar without accepting the responsibility that comes with that status. Compare that to Caitlin Clark's approach. She got asked about every controversial moment all season long. The Kennedy Carter body check, the flagrant fouls, the physical targeting, the is it because you're white questions, the pressure of expectations. Every single uncomfortable topic, she addressed it. She didn't duck. She didn't hide. She didn't send teammates out to cover for her. She showed up, answered the questions, and moved on. That's what actual leadership looks like. That's what being the face of something requires. You don't get to pick and choose when you want to represent your team. You don't get to only show up when the narrative is favorable. Real leaders face the music when it's playing a song they don't like. Angel Reese is now in Atlanta, a city that's excited to have her, with media members ready to cover her fairly. And before they've even had a chance to establish a relationship, she's already telling them she'd rather pay fines than talk to them. She's already setting up an adversarial dynamic that doesn't need to exist. She's already creating the exact environment she claims to want to avoid. Think about what that tells her new teammates. Think about what that tells the Atlanta Dream organization. Think about what that tells fans who are paying money to support this team. It tells them that when things get difficult, when the questions get uncomfortable, when accountability comes knocking, their star player is going to disappear. she's going to leave someone else to clean up the mess. And here's what makes it even more frustrating. She had a perfect opportunity to change this narrative. At the end of the 2025 season, there was an exit interview scheduled. That was her chance to address the Chicago situation, to clear the air, to answer the lingering questions about what happened with her teammates and the organization. Instead, she skipped it. She avoided it completely. And then she went on her own podcast, where she controls everything, and gave her version of events without anyone there to ask follow-up questions or point out inconsistencies. That's not transparency. That's not accountability. That's carefully managed image control. And the media sees right through it, which is probably why the relationship keeps deteriorating. Because reporters know when they're being manipulated. They know when someone is trying to use them for positive coverage while refusing to engage when the coverage might be critical. The WNBA changed its media policy specifically because of situations like this. Players complained about being overwhelmed, about feeling attacked, about questions being too aggressive. But were the questions really unfair? Or were they just uncomfortable? Were reporters really being hostile? Or were they just doing their jobs, asking about things that fans wanted to know about, addressing controversies that needed to be addressed? Kennedy Carter committed a flagrant foul that was all over social media. That's news. That's something that needs to be discussed. Angel Reese criticized her teammates publicly in a major newspaper. That's news. That needs to be addressed. These aren't gotcha questions. These are legitimate topics that any professional athlete should be able to discuss without feeling attacked. But instead of developing better communication skills, instead of learning how to navigate difficult questions, instead of growing as a professional, the response was to just limit media access entirely, make it harder for reporters to do their jobs, create more barriers between players and the journalists covering them. That doesn't solve anything. It just creates more tension and more distrust. And now Angel Reese is taking it a step further. She's not just avoiding certain reporters, or limiting her availability. She's openly saying she'd rather pay fines than show up at all. She's making it clear that she views media obligations as a punishment to be avoided rather than a responsibility that comes with being a professional athlete, making a professional salary. So here's the question that Atlanta Dream fans need to ask themselves. Is this the kind of leader you want representing your team? Is this the kind of player you want as the face of your franchise? Someone who only shows up when things are going well. Someone who hides when accountability comes calling. Someone who punishes local media for problems she had in a completely different city. Because leadership isn't about being first to the podium after a great game. Leadership is about being first to the podium after a terrible game. It's about facing the difficult questions. It's about taking responsibility when things go wrong. It's about protecting your teammates, not making them cover for you. And by that measure, Angel Reese has shown us exactly what kind of leader she is. Let me know what you think in the comments below.